Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneurship Drive. Today, I'm very excited and delighted to have this discussion. I think this is going to be kind of a masterclass. We have Mr. Lee Karuri on set, and maybe let me just do a brief introduction of Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee is the Executive Chairman of Resorts and Cities. He has been in Vision 2030, the committee of 12 who pioneered the Vision 2030. He has been also the advisor to President Mwai Kibaki and the second chair of KEPSA. I think I can go on and on and on, but let me stop there for now. I think I cannot do justice more than that. Welcome, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for honoring us and accepting to have this conversation. So let's begin with understanding the background story from the family, your family, so that it can help us build up on how you made different decisions. How was your family growing up earlier?
My current family or my
your old family?
Okay, where I was born.
Where you were born?
Exactly. Okay. Thank you. I was born in a family of 11 children. So you can see that is already a big family.
Yes, it is.
11 children, and I was the third born. The first one in our family was actually an adopted elder brother to me, but by blood is a cousin, but was brought into my family by my parents as a member of the family. So he automatically is my elder brother, and then I'm the third out of 11. So you can see that is a huge family, and out of those 11, we had to come up together in Nyeri County. I was born that time. It was not county; it was Nyeri district. I was born in Karatina. You know where Karatina?
Yes, I've been to Karatina.
You have been to Karatina. That's where I was born. And that's where I did my early schooling also, in Karatina as a young boy, in a local primary school not far from Karatina town, called Karidodo Primary School, local school.
Yes.
My parents were teachers, so education to them was very important, and their focus to the family was education. So as we grew up, one of the biggest virtues and teachings and flagship discussions is how to study, pursuit of education. So as we grew up, all of us, that became one of the key family focus, because as you heard, they were both teachers. And that is how we grew up. And later on in life, we moved from Karatina, because my father was also self-schooled. There was something in those days which was called adult education, where you studied on your own, sat for exams on your own, and went up the scale of education right from the beginning of early years. So that's how he studied. So in the progression of his life, he was able to go up the ladder slowly, and eventually he became a lecturer in the university.
That is which university?
Nairobi University. But there was a campus in Kikuyu called the Adult Studies campus in Kikuyu. There's an Institute of Adult Studies in Kikuyu, an extension of University of Nairobi. So that's where he was posted as a lecturer after he reached the necessary qualification. And as a family, we all moved to Kikuyu.
So you left
Karatina,
Karatina and came to Kikuyu.
we came to Kikuyu.
At that particular time, you had completed your primary school?
When we came to Kikuyu was at the end of I was in the final year of primary school. The final year of primary school is when I came into Kikuyu, and so we became residents within the campus in the Institute of Adult Studies, which is that a part of the University of Nairobi, has the staff residential quarters. So we now moved within campus. So, and again, that is an education institution, and it gives a good living and learning environment for our family, being an institute for learning. So that's where we now grew up in our high school days in terms of age as a family. That's where we were, and I did my standard 7 in a neighborhood school within that area of Kikuyu, the institute, and then later on I didn't do so well in my final year, and my father advised me, the best thing is to repeat.
What was your mindset at that particular point where you did not do well? What were you thinking when you did not do well at that?
I aimed at very good grades, but I was disappointed because I had been a good student through school. But in my final year of primary school, I got what we call average grade, not the best that could have been possible. So the average grade, I was actually admitted to a high school, but good advice came from my father. He said, instead of just going to a good high school, not a good high school, it was an average high school. And that it was not a good high school, an average high school within the same locality of Kikuyu. So he advised me that let's go take another year, try again. That thinking really helped, but I was wondering, is this the right thing? Losing a whole year, but that came. Looking at it in the years to come, I thought it was very good advice, because he said, why don't you spend a year, do better, aim at the best grade possible, try again, give yourself a chance, and go to a better or a national school. And that is how I was able to reorganize myself, and then I was sent he sent me to. So what I was saying is that when I got the opportunity to go back again, I thought it was a good idea to start the final year of primary again. And I was able to be sent back to the village where my mother came from. And my uncle was the head teacher, and that's the reason. He was an accomplished educationist, and he was a head teacher to a school. And they said, why don't you go and be under the care of your uncle in Teto? Teto is in Nyeri County. That's where my mom came from. Yeah. And your uncle, who is the principal, that is the headmaster, they were called the headmaster.
The headmaster.
Could mentor you, and you do a better job, and you aim to go to a better school. So that's what I did. So I went and lived with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, for 1 year to do the final year of my primary school. And I concentrated and read, and because I knew I'm repeating, I had to focus. But it was a very simple village home, my grandma, and a simple life, and no electricity, just using the little lantern.
The koroboy, or the
lantern.
The chimney one?
The little lantern.
Oh, okay.
To study. And my uncle also spent time mentoring me, must do well. So I was the top student in that school.
Wow.
And I was admitted at Alliance High School. and that changed my life.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So I spent the next 6 years at Alliance High School.
How was it at Alliance?
At Alliance, now I knew that it was, I found very bright boys there. So I had to study. I had to also, Alliance was a very good training ground in terms of values, in terms of understanding your potential, education, and you're also in the midst of other bright boys, good teachers, a disciplined school. As you know, it's a national school. And at Alliance, I got also an opportunity to eventually become the head boy, the school captain in my final year. I left Alliance High School in 1982.
And here you're meeting people from all over Kenya.
And you meet people from all over Kenya. That was my period at Alliance High School was between 1977 to 1982.
82.
Yes. 1982 was when I did my final year at Alliance.
I was yet to be born.
And, and that is the year I was a school captain. So you can see we are very far from each other.
Yes. So after Alliance, that means you performed very well in Alliance.
Yes, I did well, and I went to study in the University of Nairobi and to study architecture.
You are called by JAB. At that time was JAB?
No, that time the universities were few, very few.
Yeah.
The main university was University of Nairobi, and when we applied, that's where I chose architecture as my first choice.
In this span of time, there is nothing entrepreneurial in your thinking of how you want to be.
Entrepreneurship was not in my school days. My high school, I was just concentrating on education, on studies, to do well. And when I went to the university, I had to think a bit differently. When I go back, I think there's something I was clearing. So when I went to the university, when I was admitted, immediately I was admitted, my father passed on. We lost about a year because of the coup. In 1982, there was a coup attempt in Kenya.
Yes.
So the education system was interrupted by a year. Everyone lost 1 year. It's like this year of COVID. So we lost a year. So we went to the university in 1984. That's when we went to our first year in 1984. I studied until 1989. So it was a 5-year study for architecture. But what I find was important in terms of my choice of architecture was while we were in high school, we had career talks. And when we were in Form 5, that time we had Form 1 until Form 6. In our 5th year in high school at Alliance, there were career talks that were encouraged by the school administration. So this specific career talk, we got the chairman of the University of Nairobi in charge of the Department of Architecture. He was called Dr. Hajari. So Dr. Hajari was a guest speaker to the students, the 5th year students, to come and talk about architecture. That time I did not know much about architecture. All my mind was to do engineering, because the good students who did sciences ended up as into engineering.
And you were good.
Yes, but I had done art. I have enjoyed doing art and painting and drawing. That was part of my skills. So I had some good art skills that I had. And when he gave a talk about architecture, that it is a mixture of science and art. Architecture is creative buildings and the environment. How I said that is what I would like to do. So it was an external speaker who showcased the opportunity, and I moved my mind from engineering to architecture because I connected with what the chairman of the Department of Architecture in the University of Nairobi was talking about. So this idea of mentoring, career development, speaking to people, showcasing opportunity and different ideas is a very good one. And that's how I chose to be in that area.
That made a lot of difference.
Yes, so I moved totally from the line I've gone to architecture, and that is through a career talk, just information shared by somebody. And you know, he didn't know who would take up his offer. He didn't even ask who is interested.
Yes.
He just gave a talk about architecture and left. But I connected with what he said. That's how I feel this is my choice.
Okay.
So I was taken up in the university and I studied architecture. But while I was in the University of Nairobi, where I studied between 1984 and 1989, after doing 1 or 2 years, I told you my father passed on in 1984 at the beginning of my university studies. And that changed the dynamics of my life because we were left with a mother. We used to live in the Institute of Adult Studies in Kikuyu. Immediately we had to relocate and start a new life. So we relocated to Nanyuki. He had bought a parcel of land in Nanyuki, but it was undeveloped. So we actually moved to Nanyuki and started a fresh life in the local community. It was a big transition, and that was a totally new shift in terms of mindset, the responsibilities, and the elder people in my family. As the elder among the elder in the family, we had to take decisions. We had to work closely with our mom, who was now a widow, and she now became a teacher in a local school. And from that time, I realized I had more responsibilities than I thought. Without a father, we have many children, young siblings behind me. We need to work together, and therefore the issue of income became also important. And I thought that it was important to engage in a useful income generating activities so that we can supplement also the family income. Because now we have got one parent remaining. We are very many in the family. So while at the university, I decided I cannot just be like other students, where everything is normal. I've got to think about my family, the younger siblings. They are still in school. We have to increase the family income. So I started thinking of some useful enterprise I could do while I was at the university. And in my third year, we had started through the course of training as a student in the university. I found that there is a skill that we had been taught. In architecture, when you are designing buildings, you also create what you call models. These are miniature look of the building. If it's a building, a house, you can create using cardboard, you can create a look-alike. And I saw that skill was required in the marketplace. The architects who were running their practices in town, as part of their design and presentation to their clients, they needed to create models, scale models for the projects they did. And a friend of mine in the university he was my classmate and colleague, and later we became business partners. He was doing painting. He used to paint very good illustrations for buildings. He was able to connect some opportunities with some established firms of architects to render their proposed projects for their clients, and he was getting paid. And we had found this skill in the model making, but I didn't have a market. So he's the one who told me that, by the way, the clients he was getting for purposes of rendering buildings, and he was getting paid, we could introduce you and you do the scale models and also charge. So I found that was a very good opportunity in my third year, and I got one of my friends. We worked together. So from third year, we were now building. During our free time, we got into entrepreneurship. So from the third year in the university, we got into entrepreneurship, started going into the market, and we got opportunities to do scale models for established firms of architects. And then as a student, I had to learn how to be an entrepreneur. So as a student in the university, and having seen opportunity for us to do the scale models for established firms of architects, we had to learn how to do entrepreneurship. Because when you go to an established firm of architects and you want to provide a service, you must provide a service within the framework of an entrepreneur. You have to be able to present yourself properly. You have to have a good product. You have to know how to raise invoices. You have to keep timelines.
Yeah.
You have to attend meetings. You have to conduct yourself as an entrepreneur. Because the mindset of the architects who were established, they were dealing with a service provider, not a student.
Not a student.
Yes, that's the mindset.
Very
You're not a student because they are paying you.
This
You're a service provider.
This you learned early on, or
Yes.
you learned while inside?
Now, when we started the business of showcasing our opportunities to establish firm of architects, you get an appointment. This is a principal architect who is very busy doing a lot of work. You're given a time slot and a proper appointment. You come into the office and you are scheduled for a meeting. This office, he has some architects with him. He has got drawings to explain to you. He has got a limited time for the meeting. You have to have your notebooks to take your notes. You have to do the minutes of the meeting, what we agreed. You have follow with a letter to confirm. You also agree on an appointment. You need a contract. I realized, here there are no informalities. So I had to quickly learn how to do enterprise and drop the idea that I'm a student, because that is not a factor.
It's not a factor.
It's not a factor.
Yeah,
You're being paid.
Yes.
So we had to quickly learn how to position ourselves, even dressing. You have to buy some new shirts. You have to be presentable. You cannot just have hair that is unkempt, and people want to deal with a decent-looking entrepreneur. Somebody who is a service provider, you look organized, you are clean, and you are properly presentable. Otherwise, the first impression, they say, you don't look serious. Can you do this work? And you are in an office environment.
Yeah.
They don't know where you have come from. So I had to learn at that age how to present myself as a service provider and keep timelines. Also learn how to negotiate, because you have to table your fees proposal for the service. You have to learn how to negotiate, agree a fee, follow up with the letters, immediately get a contract signed, agree timelines, agree a deposit. So I had to learn also how to have an account, a proper functioning account. At the time, we could not register a company at the time. So we used our personal names for the business.
Why was that? Why were you not?
No. We did not quickly move into the point of registering a company. So we used our personal names as the service providers, because you can also use your name as a service provider and use your personal account for payments. So we had not moved into the formalities of a full registration of a company at the time. But we had taken the attitude of a company, the mannerisms of an entrepreneur, and the documentation, business cards, proper. You have got proper files you carry. You keep timelines. You make proper appointments. You call and you have to call and speak to the director, because this kind of entrepreneurship, you're not dealing with the staff. You're dealing with the owner. The owner is a busy person. He has the mindset of an entrepreneur. He is running a busy practice. He has employees. And what he's asking you to do is a product he's going to present to his clients, so that he is also professional in his work. So you also have to have profession. You must be professional. You must be able to bring on board quality work, because it is not for internal use. The scale models we were doing was for external use. So that whole process taught me how to be an entrepreneur, because of dealing with people who look at you as a service provider, not a student. And then I also learned how to charge a commensurate fee, and how to be paid, how to deliver work on time, how to also ensure that I have a small team of people supporting, because as we went on, we got various clients. And we had a portfolio of clients. We were doing work for them as a student. So I had also now to get into something called time management, because now I was multitasking with my colleague who was my partner in the university. So we found more work was coming because we were able to provide very good services to our clients. We had to also be able to complete our assignments on time. When workload increased, where we used to work within the university premises was not sufficient. Now we had to formalize our working station. So I went to the dean of the department, the dean of architecture. The dean of is the School of Architecture, and they asked for space to work from. I told him I'm growing as an entrepreneur, also as a student. I have sufficient work to do, but I don't have enough space to work. Do you have an extra room in the department where I can work and put my station? So he looked around and he was very impressed, and he said yes.
For a student to do that.
Yes, he said yes. I'll get you, one of the empty rooms, and it was a store. He said so long as we can find a way of relocating the old things in the store, old furniture, clean up the room, make it presentable. I'll give you even a desk or two. Will not charge you any rent because you are one of the students and you are showing, good promise. And no other student has come to us for me here for space. The dean said I've got a lot of old rooms that are not being used in the department, and you have asked for a place you can create an office. He said yes. That was in my third year. So we took it up with my partner. We cleaned up the room. He gave us the key. Cleaned it nicely, brought some basic furniture, and then our workload was increasing. So now, apart from this, now we set up an office. Apart from the workload that was increasing, we needed also to deliver on time. So we hired students. We went and hired some of the second year students who had some good skill. We interviewed those who had good skill with the model making. And we had about 3 or 4 students we took up as our interns and to work for us during their free time in the evenings and the weekends. Because we also were students and they had to deliver on assignments of class. So we had to work very hard in the day and in the night. So we used to sleep quite late, but we were working on both. You study and you have your own projects that you are doing for the marketplace. So we employed a few students and we agreed their pay per assignment. And we organized a small entrepreneurship team. So the 4 or 5, sometimes there could be up to 5 students. And we kept them busy for a long time. And then because of workload, now we refined our brand, the dressing, we got all the materials for working. We also got our invoices and all the letterheads. Everything was good order, appointments on time, and making sure that we don't go for meetings with the clients during class time. So we also explained to our clients that when we are coming, it is off our time for study. So we go for meetings during the slots. And eventually, we started getting good incomes, and we had to now learn how to save savings. Because now you're getting, as a student, you're getting good income. And this also started helping us with the family, because the idea of this entrepreneurship is self-development and also support our family.
Supporting the family.
So now we had some extra revenue to also start support our mom and the family. At the same time, I'm also increasing my income, so I have a better sort of life. I'm able to save, and we put savings, and over time, by the time I got the second year of our business, because remember we started in third year. By the 4th year, our business enterprise was very active. Incomes were good after 2 years, and the movement was very difficult because we were using matatus to move with the models.
You have said the income was good. How good was it in terms of?
Let me say, by when we went to by the second year, I was able to buy a car.
The second year.
Fourth year.
Fourth
When
year.
I'm saying in the second year of business.
Yes, or the second year of business.
Yeah,
I get
that
it.
was when I was in
The
fourth year. I had saved enough money to buy a nice used car.
For a student, that is quite an achievement.
Yeah. No student, apart from students who had the vehicles from their parents, very few students could buy a vehicle on their own, using their own skill, the skill you have, and the enterprise you have, your own car. So I had to learn how to register vehicle, how to drive. I had learned how to drive earlier, but now you see you have to be a responsible driver. You have to insure your vehicle. So this is my car. So I had to learn quickly how to take care of my vehicle, servicing my vehicle, insuring my vehicle, ensuring it has comprehensive insurance, ensure that matters of the vehicle are up to date. That is another issue. And then this vehicle now was for business, to help me move, take the models, and it was a Citroen.
The Citroen.
Yeah, it was a Citroen. So that is so from that time, I was able to do more business, and then I increased my charges because your costs are more now. You need petrol. You are servicing your vehicle. Yeah. Before we were using matatus, and it was difficult. It was not easy. Yes. Moving around with matatus to various locations, carrying those models. So now with the vehicle, you are able to take everything. That is how my entrepreneurship journey began.
That's how it began.
Yes.